This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Erolai, Kreese, and Mark, bringing you all of your DFFOO news and talk. Welcome to Season 4, the LGBT era. Now let's start the show.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. This holly jolly DFFOO week where we've had two of the hardest Lufenias in the history of the game. Hope that's been treating you all well. Grab a drink, because tonight we're going to talk about. Woo! Was that hot sauce? That was maple syrup. Delicious. This is the Crystal Chronicles, episode 132. Recorded this December 17, 2020. I am Mark, and I am so excited and also disappointed simultaneously that we get to talk about Sephiroth tonight. And that was Fireball Whiskey. That was a present from a church member, so it's appropriate to drink on there.
I wish I had some of that.
Holiday season. And you heard him. That is my good friend, Kreese. Kreese, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm tired. Despite not having much work to do, I'm really tired this week anyways.
Are you playing Ultimate Smash Brothers?
No, I am not. It's been a WoW heavy week. And when I'm not playing WoW, I've basically been busy, or I've been in the office working, getting ready for the holidays.
Well, I think we're all doing that, and good luck to all of you as we approach into that time of the year. Arrow is my other co-host. How are you doing, Arrow?
I'm pretty well. I've been doing one of my temp jobs I always do around this holiday season for about the next week and a half or so. Very glad to get some extra cash, considering that, right now I'm not doing my usual job due to, do we really need to name it? So, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, though. Just been busy.
Well, welcome all of you joining us on Twitch. We do record live on Twitch every Thursday night, except for the next two Thursdays because it's Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So we will not be meeting for the next 2 weeks. Oh, I know you'll all miss us, but we will do some other things in that time. I'll have some videos out there. We may do some impromptu streams if we have the time, but it is the holidays and encourage you to enjoy that. And if you want to enjoy the holidays, what better way than to buy the one you love, Naked Sephiroth costume at the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia store. Yes, he is back in all of his shirtless glory. So all of you, we can't use that S word, but all of you who are loving on Sephiroth, take his shirt off, give him a nice back rub. He'll appreciate that. And then go play him in Ultimate Smash, because he sucks balls in Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and that's why I'm drinking tonight.
Poor Sephiroth. I still like him.
I do too. We also got a Smash campaign, or the second half of our winter campaign. We did with the announcement of Sephiroth in Ultimate Smash Brothers on the Nintendo Switch. There was a little Twitter capade about, there's going to be a surprise and Sephiroth's going to get new power. And there was all these people saying, he's going to get his rework early. He's going to get his LD boards early. Of course he didn't get that. And Joshua said, hey, everybody, don't get hyped up about that. Of course not, because he just got his LD and BT, and we did get some stickers though. So if you like stickers, we didn't even have to pay Dissidia points for them. 4 free stickers. There are daily
login rewards running now for the next week. So make sure you're logging in daily to get those.
Yes, I don't know who was saying that, but somebody said it on the face pages. I saw it.
Whenever someone says we're going to get something, people get overly excited.
I don't know. I just feel in my heart, I feel warm. I mean, that's probably the whiskey, but yeah. So free stuff, free swag, another Chocobo panel, another winter panel. So you have Chocobo panel missions. Check those out. DissidiaInfo.com. You can get for any of those tips and tricks. You do need to bring some interesting characters. You need to bring Sephiroth for 40 missions. Need to do 25 co-ops. You need to kill a few things, which will pop up in Lost Chapters and gameplay. But for the most part, it's pretty easy. I think you have to use Jet and Snow 15 times.
Eject.
You do have to use Jet 15 times, and then, Snow or somebody else. So make sure
Late December also involves using Lael.
Lael, yes. Yeah, Lael. So you do have to use a few characters. Did you notice they have done away with the defeat the event monster 5 days in a row missions? Interesting.
Have they?
I have not noticed that, Jake. We will look into that. Daniil, how you doing? And Zeros and J.A and CSDX. There's some other folks. How is everybody doing? But yeah, I have not. We'll look into that and see. Pay attention to that. So that would be for like the co-ops. You have to beat the event certain times. That's just
in the past. What they used to do is to allocate out the highest tier crystal material. For the first 5 days an event released, you'd have to earn a certain number of gold tokens each day to get all of the upgrade materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't paid attention. I haven't noticed that it isn't there, but I'll take that word.
Yeah, I totally didn't even notice that. I think it was in the last raid, though, with Lightning, I think. I don't know. I remember seeing it until fairly recently, at least.
Well, speaking of Lightning, I did want to show her there in the Play Trading Arts version of her, because I do remind you, if you do sub to our channel tonight, and if you have been sub to our channel, you will be entered into winning one of these beautiful Play Arts figures of your choosing from the extras that I do have. So all of our subscribers will be entered to the first winner of that, and you could choose Lightning because I do have an extra of all of them. So you would be getting the first choice except for Zidane, unless you want Mannequin Zidane, because Arrow's getting Zidane. So, but besides that, they are all available. And if you want to see a good look at all of those, you can go to our YouTube and watch the unboxing of the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia Play or Trading Arts figures. I do have a full set sitting behind me. And there is an extra set in the box behind me as well. So we will be giving those away over the course of a few months, I think, through various ways. But all of our subs, as a special thank you to all of you who actually give us money to do this, that is a giveaway for them. So please, by the end of the night, if you are sub to us, or if you're listening later and subbing here by pretty much by Christmas, I will pick a winner and send one out. I'll contact you via the internet. All right, well, that's the news of the day. Time to go back to everybody's favorite Lufenia, Reno, the red-headed Turk. Well, we introduced you to the idea of this horrible Lufenia last week. And if you want to check out an excellent guide, you can go to our friend Macnell's DissidiaInfo.com. Hey, CSDX, thank you for the subscription. And Hallie, thank you for the subscription. Oh, I got an emote because of Hallie. Thank you. The red-headed turd. I think that's what the screen says. You beautiful people will be entered into the drawing. But yes. Oh, this is Castle Guardians. They're awful. Yeah, I think that's... There's a lot of things. So in the Lufenia fight, you have to manage a few different things, right? So they have a Lufenia orb. The orb comes at various health points. I believe the orb starts at the battle When they fall below 50 again, it's a DPS race, so when the HP falls below 80, they disappear, and then below 50, you have to kill them. Starts at 15, -1 when the player acts, -2 when the boss acts, but it pauses, so the orb freezes and doesn't go down when the boss is inflicted with 3 or more debuffs. So fairly easy. DPS check. Yes. What did I say? Summon Biscuits, thank you for the sub. So, and Merrick Shadow, thank you for the sub. And we are in a hype train. As those who are listening to the podcast is, what's going on? What's a hype train? Hype train is when people sub. Anyway, you can freeze the orb easily with 3 debuffs. Not too difficult to do. So, that's the one thing. You need to make sure that you have, you need to make sure that you can deal with the orb. The other issue is the mist, which comes at various HP thresholds. I believe the mist comes at, is it
80%, 50%, and what else?
30? Is it 80, 30? 80, 50, 30? 80, 50, 30. So at every HP threshold, 80, 50, 30, there is mist that surrounds the enemies. Once they attack you with the mist, it's really bad. At the attack following the mist cleanses all debuffs from itself, guaranteed hit, AoE HP attack, and inflicts various different debuffs. I think just defense down for that one. So that's a pretty nasty thing. So you have to let that hit. If you don't let it hit, they have this major reduction in brave damage and HP damage, and your characters take HP poison every single turn. So yeah, there's a couple different attacks after the mist. But the best way to get rid of the mist is to let them attack you. Obviously, there's characters not to let them attack you, but to let them have a turn. So whether it's paralyze, whether it's sleep, whether it's Reno's pyramid, all of that is fine, right? All of that can help you. There is a third issue. So you have to deal with the orb, the Lufenia orb. You have to deal with the mist. They also have a recast ability. That's the blinking red bar called Heavy Leaf. That dispels all of your party buffs before the attack, which can really suck for your tanks. Then it's an AoE HP attack, all HP attack, that does the debuff Mist Bind, which prevents you from buffing and prevents you from gaining Brave. So it's pretty much, it's not quite death, but it's pretty much death if you let the debuffs hit. The nice thing about the recast is Reno's pyramid ability, his special LD ability, prevents debuffs. So that will actually save you from getting debuffed, even if you take the hit. You can take the hit with Gladio and Reno. If you don't use Gladio and Reno, I think maybe Edward can allow you to do that, but you really just want to keep them unable to recast. Personally, I found the best way to deal with it is to get them down to 80% health ASAP. Just do heavy damage up front, then mitigate the mist attacks, and then try to basically not let them get a recast ability off. I believe I used Reno because I have him. I used Lightning. I do not have her burst. And I used Gladio. That was the easiest team for me. Trying to, making sure you had the 3 debuffs with that team was fairly easy. With most teams, you can always bring a friend to meet a Tillion. That's 4 debuffs right there. Then making sure that you give them enough turns to use the mist. Now, you can power through the mist. There was a few teams that powered through the mist, but it's so much brave damage that it's better just to, in my opinion, it's better just to figure out how to take the attacks and then try to, prevent them from doing the recast ability. Ragin, I used Ragin. Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't use Ragin. I did do a run with Ragin. That was different. But Ragin came in with his Paralyze. He was great. Lots of good characters. If you look at the call to arms, most used characters, Lightning, Reno, Ragin, Warrior of Light, Edward, Gladiolus, Emotes, and for the TCC challenge, it would be Ragin, Edward, Noctis, Emotes, Arden. It's awful. I know Mino talked about this a little bit last night on stream, and I'll clip that and share that. It cut off a little bit, so I may want to go back and edit it a little bit later, so you have the full rant. But a lot of people for this Lufenia, and thank you all for the hype train. But a lot of people for this Lufenia on the global side of things. And the next Lufenia, the Heretic Quest Lufenia, saying, yeah, it was real easy. I used Gladiolus, Reno, Lightning, LDBT. Well, again, I think one of the things Mino said last night was, it's like saying that you've read the strategy guide and done what your older brother did, and then now you're saying that you're great and you didn't need any help when you've read all the tips and tricks. You knew exactly how to beat the content and you went in and beat it. Well, yeah, I mean, you knew exactly how to do it. You knew exactly how to beat the enemies and you beat it. So, don't be a jerk about it. Feel good that you beat it, but realize, yeah, this is not easy content. And before we do anything, let's talk about both fights and then we can talk about this a little bit. So I believe I pulled for Reno. I like Reno. I like the Turks. I said that last week. So I used Reno. No reason not to if you didn't get him. There are some other good options if you didn't get him. If you have Lightning LDBT, use it. I know people went back and pulled for it just to get through this and Sephiroth's event. I'm not sure that I would suggest anybody doing that, but it certainly made your life a lot easier having Lightning's LDBT. So, Arrow, I know you're creative in your runs. How did you approach this?
I pulled Reno because I don't really pull for a lot of stun locking characters. I don't have Edward built. I don't have Rajin built. I didn't want to take Cam that badly to this kind of fight. I just didn't think it suited him too well. So I decided to take Vivi and Warrior of Light and of course, the pulled for Reno. Okay, so this fight gives me so much anxiety. Like, if you decide to actually approach it in the intended way with Reno, there is still a lot that can screw you over. There's this Woodhorn attack that, knocks your character back, a gazillion ton of turns, like Baba Breath. And one of the things that constantly happens is, if you take Warrior of Light, is you have to be careful because sometimes they like to target him at the same time with that attack. And it's basically like, oh, you did that. And then they have the missed attack ready. And then they hit Warrior of Light. They're going to kill him. There's just no getting around it with that kind of team setup. You're always going to be low health because you have Vivi just lowering your health the whole time, through his Doomsday. And Warrior of Light, his healing's okay. But, it's nothing to be shouting about at the same time. So that was just the worst. That's how a lot of my runs would get botched, by the way, when I was doing the recording. So thank God I finally got a good recording. But I'm going to tell you, I hate this fight. I think it's one of the absolute most dumb fights in the game. It's one thing to have a boss with this kind of recast, but the thing is when it removes all, it's like that Avenger fight where if it removes all the debuffs from itself and it also removes all your buffs, there's no tanking that really. You have to just, you just got to eat it somehow, right? But this boss is a lot harder hitting than the Avenger boss, because at least with the Avengers you could just kind of you just had to make sure you didn't get broken. Here it doesn't even matter. They just outright smack and kill you, and it's just well, okay. So it's just it's trying to sell the event character really hard, or that they don't even want you to play against the boss. It's that's stupid. I don't like design bosses this way. It just doesn't seem very engaging for me. It just comes across as annoying and unfair and uncreative. So that's just my personal belief. I'm glad they don't have another fight like this. I don't think anyway, for a very, very long time. So I hate it. I'm glad to be done with it. And that, I don't know. I'm just going to be happy that no other fight is going to be like this. I don't even think Kieran's is supposed to be this awful. So thank God.
You're being called out in stream for pulling for Reno because he's a bad guy. So I
have no idea. It's been so long since I played FF7. I don't know. I honestly have no clue.
He's got red hair. He can't be a bad guy, right? Isn't there a rule?
Wait, they showed a bunch of cute redheads like Waka and Vanille and Cater in that one scene in the event. So are we saying all those guys are bad too just because they're redheads? Or are you discriminating against redheads, Mark?
I'm not. No, I'm married to one, so I'm not doing that. That's for sure. No, I'm saying. I said how he can't be bad. He's a redhead, right? That's what I'm saying. So, Crease, what are your thoughts on the start of this hell month of Lufenia?
I'm way behind, so I have not gotten to these fights yet. I'll let you know once I have suffered through them.
Well,
I did not like the chaos, I can tell you that. That's the reason I'm behind.
Yeah, the chaos was the chaos caused a lot of streamers. We watched a lot of streamers struggle with the chaos, just kind of going in without a plan, mostly because of the HP damage, the poison. So when the mist,
the mist or meeting the HP requirement was the obnoxious part for me. It wasn't beating the fight; it was beating the HP requirement to get the complete. Was the biggest issue I've had.
Taking damage from the mist because people were just trying to run through it and stomp and not give them any turns, and then you're coming up against that mist, which is brave damage and HP damage reduction and HP damage to your party every turn as poison. So lightning at 1 HP. Now, one of the ways around that, in the chaos at least, is bring Vivi and Arden who kill themselves, or Renoa who kill themselves, and then you don't have to worry about it. Or you can bring, that's why Ragin was so good in this Lufenia and Chaos, because he's got good regen. Charlotta's got good regen. So there are plenty of characters there. Gladio has good regen. So, you really need somebody with HP regen who can take care of that, and somebody who can shut down mechanics. So, a lot of people were struggling with this. And if you're listening, I know a lot of you who listen to the podcast, this is kind of your one source for stuff. So if you are continuing to struggle, I'll say it again later, but don't fret about it. If you have to be 100% completionist, come on, we'll find ways. There are creative ways around this. Hopefully you have some people in your roster. But I think this, I just, from the call to arms, that is, that's not our feelings. That is a pretty good representation, not a complete representation, but it is at least data. And it's pretty good data that shows us how limited or free that these fights are. So how limiting these fights are, or how much freedom you have to bring different characters into these fights. And I think from the call to arms, these fights have been particularly limiting as of right now. So, there are a few options, and in the let's just go to the TCC challenge, because one of the reasons we do the TCC challenge is to give you an idea of the idea that you can beat it without pulling on the banner, and without the luck of getting a burst. So that's in Lufenia era. We really want you to feel like you can beat this without a burst weapon, because burst weapons are hard to come by. I have a whole bunch of them. You may have a whole bunch of them, but not a lot of people do. So obviously these are some of the best players in the game who are tackling the TCC challenge for us, but they have done it. They have gotten through it. And so it is possible. May not be possible for you, may not be possible for me, but it is possible. And if you really wanted to do it, you can look through their videos and give them, or, reach out to them on our Discord and find different ways. So these TCC challenges for Reno and Sephiroth, really easy. You can still do them if you want to. For Reno's, the Red-Headed Turk, Lufenia, we banned Lightning, we banned Reno. You cannot use a burst phase. Everything else is fine. Burst friends are okay. All friends are allowed. Lightning friend, Reno friend. Lightning burst as a friend, fine. That was the TCC challenge. Banning Lightning, banning Reno, no burst phase. The extreme challenge was turning the enemy HP display off. Now, remember in JP, when they got these events, they did not have the quality of life where you could see the percent of enemy health. And that's another really big deal, because when you know that, oh, the orb is going to disappear after 80% health, or the mist is going to start at 50% health, or the red aura is going to kick in at 30 or 50% health, 80% health. That's really helpful. I mean, that's really, really helpful. So it was much harder to do it without the HP display. So the extreme challenge was just to turn that off and try it. And if you do that, you'll see it was harder. So I'm going to do something I don't normally do because these fights are so difficult. I'm going to read not only everyone who did the TCC challenge, but I'm going to share their team, their main party, not their friends. So you'll have to go on if you want to find which friends they use, but you can assume Reno, Lightning, Megatillion, those kind of friend options. So for the regular TCC challenge, Chef Knife, shout out, Ragin, Megatillion, Arden, Slowbee, Ragin, Noctis, Garland. Oh, I actually messed around with the TCC challenge and did Ragin, Kistis, Garland. And got really, really close. I love Garland. He is an underrated character. Snoopball did Camelot Ragin Garland. Lizette did Arden Megatillion Ragin. CSDX, who was here and just subbed, got Noctis Edward Ragin. Lizette again, Edward Noctis Ragin. Hallie, who's also here and subbed, Noctis Edward and Vivi. Vivi coming in clinch again. Good job to all of you doing the TCC challenge. Those brave souls who turned the HP thing off and reset a whole bunch of times. Theologica, who is here tonight. Arden, Edward, and Megatillion. Excalibur, Arden, Edward, and Megatillion. Obviously, that's a really good team. If you don't have Lightning, if you don't have Gladio, if you don't have Reno, Arden, Edward, and Megatillion is going to help you a lot. Dystopia, Clay, did Noctis Edward Ragin, another good team. Buddy did a Megatillion Camelot Ragin. So these characters these teams were all able to do it. Was it easy? I don't think any of these people would say it was easy, but definitely doable without Lightning LDBT. But if you have Lightning LDBT, a heck of a lot easier. Definitely doable without Reno, but if you have Reno, a lot easier, but still very, very limited in terms of the number of characters. Definitely need a decent damage dealer, although Garland coming in clinch there, generally speaking. Yes, Matt, we are talking about Reno's Lufenia. We're going to talk about the Heretic Lufenia next. But yeah, congratulations to all of you who did the TCC challenge and the Reno event. Very difficult. This Lufenia was very difficult, and for whatever reason, I think after we talk about Sephiroth, we'll talk about just these in general. But yeah, very difficult. So let's talk about the Heretic quest, the Sneering Demons. But before we do, I'm actually gonna. While we do that, I'm going to show my run of the Lufenia. But as we start this, let's talk about Sephiroth, who comes back with an LD and BT. So all of you who are watching can take notes on how bad I play and and how much Sephiroth sucks. So I am using Sephiroth in this demonstration. So yes, please. Hey, Resfoina. Everybody check out Resfoina, who also pulled for Sephiroth and lucked into it. And congratulations for that. So Sephiroth is really good. Hashtag stripper up. Kreese, why don't you tell us about Sephiroth?
Sephiroth did not get a rework. I think that's what you need to know. What did Sephiroth get? Sephiroth got an LD and a BT. The LD did give him a new Brave Plus and an HP Plus, which were nice. They're slight boosts over his old Brave Plus and his HP Plus. But they're mostly just more Brave hits and greater potency, so nothing really to write home about. His LD ability is Scintilla. What it is it's an AoE Brave plus HP attack that is executed twice. And what it does is it applies a debuff to all targets called Cellular Erosion. Cellular Erosion is a sap effect that's based on max Brave, and also is a Brave damage amplification effect. So it increases Brave damage dealt to all targets. Along with that, Sephiroth gets a burst ability called Heaven's Light. It does an AoE Brave plus HP attack. That also applies a 3-turn burst effect that after any turn, all enemies' Brave is set to 1, regardless on what their Brave was before. Which can be nice. It's nothing super flashy, but it can allow for a lot of sudden breaks. It's okay. It's a fancy effect, and if you can take advantage of it, it's nice. Just remember that Sephiroth does have a high turn rate skill on Fervent Blow, so if you really want to take advantage of it, don't use Fervent Blow. And that's about it. Otherwise, Sephiroth's the same. He still has a small speed down aura. He gets faster as he builds up his Genova stacks. You want to make sure you build him up to Reunion 5 as soon as possible. You want to get Genova up to 5 and then use Octa Slash so he gets his full effects of his attack and max Brave bonus. Just keep in mind his LD only has 3 uses. So you need to allocate them out carefully. You don't want to burn them up too soon if you really want to take advantage of that cellular erosion effect. He's not great, especially compared to more recent LDs. He's just another damage dealer. Don't get too excited. And I think that's where we'll leave it there. Considering other bursts recently, yeah, he'll be okay, but he won't be super great. Arrow, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't want to poop on it too hard because okay, so the thing is, whenever Sephiroth is boosted, he's fine. I can't really gauge how he's going to look outside of that. I'm sure there will be somebody out there who will champion for a while. I will be looking out for that because I'm just kind of curious how well he'll hold. I think it's cool. You got a snap effect. I think the LD is really cool. It's not flashy or anything with the animation, but I like that it's quick. The BT effect's got to be one of the most unique things that if you can abuse it is really amazing. If you can't really take advantage of it, it's probably one of the worst effects, honestly, that we've seen. But depending on what you're doing with it, it can be pretty busted. So, honestly, J.A saying he will champion Sephiroth. So J.A, okay. I look forward to anything you record with that. So that's my thoughts. Yeah, I don't really have much to say here. He's Sephiroth. He pretty much plays the same as he always has.
I pulled for Sephiroth. You can watch my very artistic art film, my indie film about pulling for Sephiroth on the YouTube to watch that saga unfold. But I have his LD and his BT. I want to I like his kit. I like his invisible auras, his invisible debuffs, I like his LD ability. Again, I wish he had 4 uses of it, but whatever. His burst effect is the coolest burst effect, I think. It's the most unique in terms of every time you act, the bosses get reset to 1 Brave. It is really fun. If it was a few more turns, even better, but you pair it with somebody who's fast and gets a whole bunch of re-breaks. I'm going to enjoy pairing it with some other characters, especially in the future. But he really, 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 he really needed a rework. And his potencies are not bad. Inkwelder did a whole, Inkwelder from the Tonberry Troupe, TonberryTroupe.com, did a whole kind of write-up about potencies. His potencies are fine. His damage is fine. He could just really benefit from the splash that he will get eventually. So, if he was doing full damage or splash damage on his skills, he would be perfect. He would just be great. But he doesn't get that. And so, you're watching me. If you're watching the video, this is my run of Lufenia with Sephiroth, Gladio, Kurasame. I have 3 full spheres on Sephiroth. I do not have perfect arts. I have 1. I do not have perfect attack C50s. I have attack C50 and attack 330s for arts. But I have 3 attack-oriented and brave damage-oriented spheres on Sephiroth, regular spheres, not refined spheres. So, I mean, he can't really do much more. Can't really do much more damage. I have his burst than he is doing, and he struggled to beat this damage race, to beat these orbs, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, I mean, he did struggle. Now, he might have done better, actually, with a character like Desh, who was enchanting him. But, I mean, with the damage Kursame's giving, damage check.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You started it. You started the damage race. I'm racing against the clock. I'm racing against the orb. You race against the orb. If you lose the race, the orb explodes.
That's what I always read it as. You're racing against the turn count, or you're racing against the orb.
For this particular fight, you have to do so much damage, or the orb explodes and you die. So I'm disappointed. I wish I was hoping that, it was just a little bit underhyped compared to Lightning, but really compared to Arden, compared to Noctis, compared to Lightning, the last 3 big BT damage dealers we have, he really is underperforming. And that sucks. Now, yes, he's going to come back with a rework and an LD boards, and that's great. I'll have him for then. But yeah, besides these 3 events, which at the end of the day, I mean, I didn't use him. The 3 events that he's in here, which will be this event, Kyrian, and Rude. So, I mean, I'll use him there. But yeah, he probably won't get much use after that until, a Transcendence or other events when he comes back around. So, I'm disappointed. It's just sad. I was just like, he in synergy he should be doing more damage than Lightning per turn, and he's not. I mean, Lightning's doing more damage still out of synergy than he is. So it's just disappointing. For a character who's so good, and they could have just give him a little bit of help, and and it would have been good. But let's go to the podcast polls and see how everybody fared among the 12 servers. And thank you to Quick Zalma of Materia Bot. You can support him on Patreon for setting up these podcast polls. Of the 12 servers, on the first banner, which had Sephiroth, Zaz, and Snow, not a bad banner for a new player. 4 people willing to pity the BT. Yep, shouldn't have done that. 11 people willing to pity the LD. Probably shouldn't have done that either. 6 people using gems, 76 tickets, and 127 skipping. On the other banner, which is Galuf, Jet, and Iggy, the one I pulled on because I didn't have Jet or Galuf. I did pick up Galuf. 3 people willing to pity. Wow. Really? 7 people willing to pity Sephiroth? Excuse me? When we have Rude coming out and everybody and their mom's pulling on Rude, you were going to pity the BT on this banner? Okay. 16 people willing to pity the people like Sephiroth, I guess. There's Sephiroth hype. Gems, I hope none of you actually had to pity this burst. 10 using gems, 103 tickets, 114 skips. So, Rez, I don't mean to attack you, but why didn't you just stay with tickets? Like, I don't want to spoil the video. Why didn't you stay with tickets? Why did you go to gems? You should have just stayed. You had plenty of tickets. Like, spend a few hundred tickets. Did you watch Jin Lee's video? I know, but you got it, right? That's the good news. You got it at the end of the day. But he is a favorite. I wouldn't suggest anybody. I wouldn't suggest. Yeah, I hear you. No, it's hard. For your favorites, you got to spend gems. But I certainly wouldn't encourage anybody to pity until you pull for. I broke my own rule. No, what do you mean, Hope? I broke my own rule. I've given up using gems. I went straight into tickets. I'm just using tickets. I'm looking right now to see where my buffs were. Apparently. Yeah, so yeah, I lucked out. So I wasn't going to use gems anyway, but yeah. Oh yeah, Jin Lee breaking his own rules, mixing, yeah, on banners. Yep. I saw a lot of content creators going and having to recently, and I think Mino said this earlier too. A lot of content creators having to use tickets because they were maxed on tickets. So I'm using tickets until I run out. That's ridiculous. We shouldn't be maxed on tickets. So use tickets, not gems. That's my suggestion until you're at 0. And then use gems. Who cares? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 999 gems, that is ridiculous. 1,850 gems, that's what I had before I started all this. And where am I in the gem race? 1,850 minus 400. So I've pulled out every banner this month, and I've only used tickets, and I'm only down 400 tickets. So yeah, it's not great. Not great. And I got all the LDs. Oh, that's content creator luck for you. Let's talk about this awful Lufenia. Now Arrow thinks this one's easier than Reno. I don't know. So you fight 2 of these idiots. Anything that's steampunk or clockwork in this game is awful, and you should hate it. The dumb counts. The Leviathans that are the steampunk counts, they're dumb, and these stupid demon things are dumb too. So one of them is offensive, one of them is defensive, and they switch roles. The one who is offensive has some pretty powerful attacks. The one who is defensive puts on a whole bunch of crap, including shields. When they switch roles, they get shields. And they have 2 different types of shields, so they can stack shields, and that's really annoying. They're Warrior of Light style shields, so you have to break through their damage. Now, the Tonberry Troupe, when we were talking, Inkwelder did a lot of work into the how gravity and like how Sephiroth's EX worked in shields. If you're watching on the video, it doesn't matter at this point because I have them locked out, but Sephiroth's EX burned through the shields and their Brave really well. So I'm not really sure how they're both offensive. Yeah, they are both offensive. That's great. Blartigan, yeah, they are both offensive. But one buffs the other one and the other one attacks. Unfortunately, so that's just their stances. One is kind of the attacker, one is the buffer. They start with an orb. There's no way to stop the orb. There's no way to add to the orb. The orb is just a 30-tick countdown. Every time you act or they act, it counts down. Once that orb goes off, it's death. It's just death. There's no way to eat the orb, I don't believe. It's just you die. So you have to get them under 80% health to get rid of the orbs. The orbs come back at 50% health, and the only way to get rid of the orbs is to kill them. So you have to do 20% of their health to get rid of the first 30 turns of orbs. Then you have to do 50% of their health until the last part to get rid of the second orb, Lufenia orb. That is a DPT check, a damage check, as Mina would like me to call it. You have to bring a lot of damage. You definitely should be saving your summon and your burst phase. And believe me, if you have a burst phase, it is much easier for the second half of that fight. Now, every 10 turns, they shield each other. Super, super annoying. One of the easiest ways to deal with that is when they get down to under 50% of every time they get down. So when they get down to 80% health, they clear all their debuffs. When they get down to 50% health, they clear all their debuffs, cleanse all their debuffs. One of the best ways to do to lock them out of shields is to bring 6 frame debuffs. You can bring a friend of HaateXIII with a couple other characters who have frame debuffs and lock them out for that second half so you don't have to worry about the shields. The Broadway Saiyan and Master Ken. I saw that Super Saiyan punch, that Ultra Instinct. Master Ken's Ultra Instinct. Check out the Broadway Saiyan, everybody, on Twitch and YouTube. And he shared a special message from Master Ken, our very own martial arts expert and teacher. But thank you for the support, Broadway, and everybody go support our friend, the Broadway Saiyan, who I'm sure thought this Lufenia was super, super easy. You just got to punch it in the groin. But I beat it, so it must not be too hard. But yeah, definitely the second half of the fight, if you can lock out them from getting shields, that's going to make your life easier. There are lots of other ways to deal with that. You can see if you're watching, I used Sephiroth, LDBT, Gladiolus. Gladiolus comes in real good here for lots of different reasons. He protects you in a lot of different ways. The one thing I didn't talk about is once they cleanse themselves of the orbs, once they tick off the orb disappears, they cleanse themselves. One of them will get a red aura that takes all of their brave damage to 1. So you can only do 1 brave damage until they attack you. They attack you with one of their grenades that does an AoE HP attack. That happens at least twice. It can kill you if you're not prepared with damage mitigation, like Reno, like Gladiolus, like there's some other characters that can help with that as well. Dash, if you can time a good paralyze, I guess. Although I don't think will help you with that. I think there's a way to avoid the red auras. I did this fight about 4 times today trying to figure out how that works. I could not figure it out. If anybody else, the Tonberry Troupe tries to explain it. I tried 2 or 3 different ways. It didn't seem to work for me. I got the red aura both times. So the attacker does get the aura, yes. So like if you can do it for the 3rd time perhaps. But yeah, I don't know. So so I did beat it. So congratulations to me. Okay, yeah. So if one of them. I did. I played through it 4 times today because, why not? Just to try to see. That was live gameplay earlier today when I did it, Mino.
Not live gameplay right now. Mark said it was a recording.
I said it was my recorded run earlier today.
Yeah.
In between various meetings that I was trying to squeeze 20-minute play sessions in. It was. I was not playing it live. I cannot do that for various different reasons. It's hard enough to host a show and produce it and play at the same time. There you go. But I did beat it, and that was my game and me playing. Just not currently. Arrow, how did you approach this?
I decided to take Arden and Dash and Reno. Okay, so I know I said this fight is easier than Reno's, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Okay,
yeah, that's what she said.
It took me a lot less tries to finesse a win than it did on Reno's, because I feel like despite all the there's some annoying things about this fight, it just doesn't bother me the same way the Reno fight did. I don't know. It's just not as much to have to keep up with to me. I think there's you gotta watch out for the red aura, but I just went and emptied their HP pretty equally so that, I tried to make it so that they would go down to each HP threshold at about the same time. I don't understand that whole thing from Tonberry Troupe trying to what is it? With the rolls and some order, and I don't know. I'm like, you know what? Let's just trigger their buff removal at the same time. C-Sam, I'm really glad that my strategy helped you out with beating it. But yeah, so basically the main thing is once you get them under 50%, you need to set up all those debuffs as quick as possible. If you feel like you need to summon to get all those buffs up or debuffs and buffs back on and everything before you, if you have a BT, to use that BT, for example, do it, because it makes it a lot less stressful. And most of us are probably taking either a lightning friend or an Amiditelian friend to kind of, ease through that last 50%. And having all your debuffs on really quick is nice, because they take down 2 turns every time they get a turn. And they seem like they get faster. It feels like right at that last bit of health. They probably don't. It just felt like it because, you got to get through 50% of health, and in that timer feels like it goes so quick. Yep. So finessing everything, you can go in any order, with the BT and the summon and the in the friend unit, it felt like when with my team, I kind of did it in 2 different ways in 2 different recordings, and then decided to keep one of them and upload it. Because I felt like the latter one where you summon first to get all the debuffs up was a little bit easier to understand and follow along with. So, my feelings on this fight, it's easier to keep up with and to know when things are coming. That's why I found it less stressful. I also am not very good at locking down enemies because I don't play those kind of, I like letting the boss play like how he's supposed to, but it just feels like these last couple of fights are all about, oh, don't let the boss play at all. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. Again, I'm really waiting to get through this era of it because I'm just not a fan of this style of playing. I'm sure there's people who do love this. And if you are a fan, I'm glad for you. But for me, it's just not for me.
Yeah, Mino said there's some mechanics where there probably is mechanics that we forgot about. But I definitely think the obviously the Lufenia orb, they don't have a recast ability, right? The red aura is kind of their big attack, which is a little bit less painful than the other thing, and also their big defensive move. And then the shields is the other thing. Every 10 turns they get the shields up. So every 10 turns they swap roles. Yes. Yeah. So awful. And yeah, why not? We did a TCC challenge because we love you. So this was just last night, so there will probably be a few more, but I wanted to share the TCC challenge today was banning Lightning and Sephiroth, no burst phase. Extreme was just turning off that HP just like before. I actually have a few more submissions here. I'm going to go to the list, but I did get a few more submissions since then, so I will read those on air as well. Our own Strafe, TCC Strafe, debuff immunity in Rage. Oh, when you kill one, Mino, is that what you're talking about? I talked about the role swaps, the shields, and the red auras. No, I don't think you have to pay that much attention. Anyway, if you kill one, they can't be debuffed. Is that what you're telling me? I'm not sure what you're saying there. Anyway, the TCC challenge winners: Strafe, our own Strafe, who's here with us tonight. Kais, Gladiolus, Desh, great run. Liz, Lizette, Vivi coming in clinch here. Gladiolus, Kurasame. You're going to see a theme here. Snoopball, Vivi, Gladiolus, Kurasame. Scott, Vivi, Gladiolus, Kurasame. We have a couple others. This one, Alphanaw, our friend Alphanaw, Gladiolus, Strago, Desh, Mad Respect. That's a great run. Chef Knife, Zaz, Gladiolus, Kurasame. Great run. When Zaz is your damage dealer. Strafe's run is really interesting. Go watch that. Black Cloud did a couple runs too. So, some interesting runs there. So check that out. And then for the extreme, Vivi Gladiolus Desh, and that's Embish. And Zaz Gladiolus Kurasame Theologica, who's here with us tonight. And then Clay did Vivi Gladiolus Kurasame. So again, the common denominator here is Gladiolus. Well, I mean, really it comes down to damage dealer, damage mitigator, damage enhancer, and, in a couple unique cases, it was, Zaz and Kurasame, when Zaz is your damage dealer. Or Zaz, Kurasame, Gladiolus working together to do the damage. Pretty cool. So, and then some unique runs with Kais as well. So there are some options without using that, but obviously the majority of people who did this fight brought Lightning LDBT, Gladiolus, and Kurasame. That was the major users, the most used characters: Lightning, Gladiolus, Kurasame, Reno, Desh, Arden, Zaz, Sephiroth, Warrior of Light. Those were the top used characters. But Vivi does work. Noctis does work for your damage dealer. Not as well as maybe some of the other ones, but or you have to play a little bit more carefully. Obviously, you need some damage mitigation in there as well. So, Mino and Arrow are arguing about which fight is more complex, and that's a good discussion. So, you can all how complex this is. So, what do you think about? Regardless of how they're both complex fights. They're some of the most complex fights. A lot of moving parts to these fights. Obviously, if you have the synergy LDBT, excluding Sephiroth, who sucks, you can kind of ram through it with lightning LDBT. But even then, there's a little bit of skill needed to kind of use the characters in the most effective ways. Still pretty hard. Limited roster. So, Kreese, what are you thinking in terms of this? Why do we have this weird bottleneck at this point in the game? They got this in JP. Why was this in JP and then disappeared? What are your thoughts about it in general?
I suspect it has to do with the way they designed the fight mechanics. More than anything else. I just threw my head at the Reno Lufenia while you were discussing the Sephiroth Lufenia, because I am, as I said, I'm way behind on content this week. And I got close to beating it and then wiped. Mostly because I did not have a team that was designed to deal with the recharge bar. So I was trying to outrun the recharge, but I got below 30%. I had both of them with a recast up, and I had no way to deal with it at that point. So it was game over.
Yeah.
So their mechanics are designed to be very punishing if you do not have a way to deal with them. And since I didn't pull Reno, I have to either bring a friend Reno to deal with that mechanic once I get to that point, or basically burn faster and harder. Those are my two ways of dealing with the fight.
Yeah.
It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky solution.
Arrow, what are your feelings about this 3-part Hell Lufenia series that we're in?
I think they like to do this every now and then because they release a lot of really, really, really strong characters. And they go, whoopsie, let's just make some fights where you have to use some of these strong guys or the event character, and they'll just get through it. So, I mean, the last time this happened that I can think of offhand is like the Trey Chaos, where it's like, oh, we released so many strong characters. Here's this really hard Chaos fight before, the new weapon tier comes out. They just decided to do that. So I don't know. They just like to do this from time to time. I honestly have no idea what the devs are thinking. It's okay since it's not a constant thing. This isn't like that EX era crap that they designed for us back in the C50 era where it was like most people couldn't do it because they didn't have SAS and there just weren't, most of the characters weren't even great by the time they started rolling these out. And I don't know. I don't like these fights where it feels like these fights are more about just don't play against the bosses. It's more like, oh, just ignore them as much as you can and try to delay them as much as you can and don't let them have turns by disabling them with paralyzes or with sleep or something. It's just not interesting to me. I like bosses that ask you to engage with them and actually play against what they're supposed to do. Like they have skills. They're supposed to use them against you. They're supposed to, present a challenge. They don't present a challenge when they're just punching bags. That once you understand that the mechanics are so unfair that they basically beg you to ignore what they're doing. The bosses are doing completely. It's just not an interesting aspect of the game to me. And I'm glad that it's almost over after this month.
Yeah, Summon Biscuits is asking for the Reno fight. Wasn't there a way to kind of power through it to just ignore kind of everything? Yes and no. You have to respect the mechanics, but you can kind of ignore them. Somebody shared the one team. Yeah, Charlotta, Kurasame, Lightning, Friend Lightning. That was one way to do it. The other way, Soups did it in one turn with Noctis LDBT, Lightning, Ragin, Friend Noctis. So, you have to power through the mist. But you have to bring some HP regen. So Ragin or Charlotta, they're doing the HP regen. Every time somebody takes a turn, they get the same amount of health back. So that's not an issue. And you have to bring the appropriate number of debuffs. So you have to have at least 3 debuffs to lock down the orb. So you still have to respect the mechanic, but you power through the mist. Yeah. So definitely, with these top damage dealers and with lightning synergy, you can power through the mist. You have to power through the orbs in the Heretic Lufenia, Sephiroth Lufenia. You don't have a choice. I don't know. You don't really want to power through the red aura, but if you had enough splash damage potentially, I don't know. There's no, to my knowledge, there's no 0 turn or 1 turn runs for the Heretic event. So I think everybody had to respect the mechanics in that fight. At least had to play the fight. The lowest turn run that I see is, I thought I saw a 40 in our Discord. I don't see a 40 on, I thought one of our players got 40. But I don't see, there's a couple over 70. You have 90 turns to beat it, but I don't see you surviving the orbs for 90 turns unless you really spread out that 80 to 50 level quite a bit. So well, good luck. My approach is don't kill yourself. Hope was saying that they did it 22 times today. I mean, if you're having fun doing it, fine, but if you're stressing yourself out, stop. Like, it's a game. You're supposed to have fun. If you're not having fun, put it down, do something else. Don't let it stress you out, because that is when the game starts stressing you out and causing you anxiety, it's getting into like an elongated anxiety, not like, oh, I'm anxious, am I going to win? That kind of thing. That's a little different. I'm talking like it's causing you some physical issues. That's not healthy. I'll give you the Discord link here.
I want to step in real quick. Give yourself a present. Give yourself the present of not stressing yourself out with these battles. There you go. If you can't deal with it, it's starting to make you upset, that's the best present you can give yourself. It is the holidays. Do it for you.
Yeah, and I know some people went back and pitied Lightning LD or Lightning LDBT, or pitied the burst, or chased the burst because they wanted to win these fights. I mean, obviously you don't need Lightning LDBT. It makes it a lot easier. Unless she's your favorite, I certainly wouldn't waste your resources for 20 Lufenia orbs and some kind of pride. I mean, like, oh, I beat this content. Like no one's going to know. You can lie about it, right? I mean, like nobody that we hang out with is going to be upset. Like, I gave up on this. It was too hard. I didn't have the right tools. Like, no one's going to feel bad. I mean, like, no one's going to make fun of you on our Discord, at least. And if you're part of a group that is going to make fun of you for not beating content, then that's a dumb group and you shouldn't be part of it. Like, this is a game that we play to have fun. And if you're not having fun, then you're letting the gambling, bad, what Macno would say, predatory mechanics of the game prey on you. And you shouldn't let that happen. You should be in control of the game. The game should not be in control of you. And as soon as the game starts controlling your life, then it becomes a problem. That's how everything becomes a problem. That's how addiction starts. So don't let it happen. It's a fight. It's one stupid fight that was not correctly tuned or over-tuned to a few specific characters. So really, I mean, Mino may make fun of you, and then you make fun of him back. That's part of our... That's part of our culture. So don't do drugs, except for the ones that we do. But I just hate, I hate all the stupid people saying, oh, this was easy. And all the stupid people saying, oh, GL's going to suffer. Yeah, we all play the same stupid game, people, and it's Christmas. Can't we just get along? It's not Christmas, it's Hanukkah. Can't we all get along on Hanukkah? Inkwelder representing our Jewish friends here. But, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I just hate to see people waste all their resources, feeling terrible about themselves. It's just a dumb game. It's a game we enjoy, a game that we have fun, a game that we're passionate about, fine. And yeah, spend some time doing it. Spend some time figuring out if, there's some ways that you can do it. But yeah, if it's causing you like anxiety and you're getting, physically, having some physical symptoms because of it, please stop. You'll be okay. That 20 Lufenia armor will be okay. So it's my PSA for today. Hey, we got another fight. It's super easy. Dimensions and Entropy tier 18. Do that. Do tier 18. It's super fun. It's not super easy, but it's easier than these Lufenias. Wave 1 was 2 Flutter Jellies. They're dumb. Yeah, they do this weird attack when they start concentrating. They go, and you got to break them, right? You got to stun them somehow, and they do a big attack if you don't, and that's kind of annoying. But other than that, they're pretty meh. And then, yeah, you had the Scorpion, and the effect is an effect type, right? The flying, floating thing. Both of them have the ability to gain a ton of Brave, and the effect uses that blue aqua power, which it will gain a lot of Brave and limit the incoming Brave damage. So just to 1. So that can be a really pain in the butt. So instant breaks, poison effects, anything like that can really, really help. Poison's really good in this fight. Gladio and Reno, if you pulled for them, yeah, they're really helpful. Gladio mitigates damage. Reno can deal with those big attacks really nicely. If you're struggling with it, Rude is coming up. Your big damage dealers, Sephiroth, Lightning, Noctis, Arden, any of the big damage dealers you haven't used who are melee, they all resist. They resist magic. Yeah, they resist magic, and absorb holy damage. I think, right? Or no, maybe they don't do that. So, but they resist.
They
magic.
do not absorb holy. But the second wave, one of them is resistant to dark, I think.
Okay. Oh, yeah, resistant to dark. Thank you. The effect is resistant to dark, and they are all magic resistant. So you can enchant and peril. But, yeah, I had all of my unlocked... Well, I didn't have any unlocked melee damage dealers besides, like, fairly outdated ones. So I brought Gladiolus, Reno, and Regen. So... I'm like, I was too lazy to unlock Lightning or Sephiroth. Zach, 8 can solo. My 8 was in tier 17, or I would have just done that. But if you have 8 built up with his LD and EX, he can solo it. It's not the most difficult solo that we have. I don't think it's not just auto battle, but it's not the most difficult solo that you can do. That's for sure. So if you like solos, 8 can solo this pretty easily. I can Lightning LDBT solo this. She might be able to, but she's pretty gross. But yeah. So again, I didn't really use any damage dealers. It was fine. Gladiolus really helps in this one. Reno really helps in this one. Ragin was just there for support, moral support. He does great. So yeah. Arrow, how did you approach this?
I just went through what I had. I still had Zidane, apparently. I had freed Freya for some reason, I guess, a while back from tier 10. So I brought her. And then I was like, well, I need some way to deal with that effect in wave 2. I hate her. So I brought Reno for that, just to pyramid through the demon splashes. So, yeah, it's not too bad. As long as you've got some like moderately up-to-date units, you should be okay. Just don't bring dark units because you don't want to have to not do any damage against the effect boss. About it. Do kill the effect first, because in my run, I was a ding-dong and killed, or not the effect, kill the Ferrum Scorpion first. Because if you leave the Ferrum Scorpion alive, he gains a whole butt ton of Brave, right? Yeah. And I think his stats increased. And then, like, it was his turn immediately after I killed the effect. And he hit, like, my whole party for, like, a gazillion damage and almost killed all of them. And I think I only lived because of Freya. So, Yeah, just something to bear in mind. And then I had to waste like 10 turns just to heal back up. It's kind of embarrassing. So don't be me. So kill the Phantom Scorpion first. So you do not have to hopefully deal with that problem that I had in my own run.
Yeah, Camelot also works really well here. Yeah, the Scorpion gets instant turn rate up on some of its moves, so that makes it even more nasty. So, yeah. Yeah, so you want to mitigate that damage and take it out first, for sure. Kreese, have you done tier 18 yet?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't know who I'm bringing yet.
Yeah. Nobody. Doesn't matter. Just throw. You can go full. You can go full launch team if you want to do Kais, Fujin, and Lael. That is I
still have some pretty solid characters open that I can use, so I'll have to think about it.
And remember, we are getting Karen and Rude, so those are good. They do highlight, because of the huge Brave gains.
Where is Lightning locked?
Characters that have instant break, like Gabranth, Trey, Sephiroth doesn't have instant break by his gravity. Those are characters that can be used effectively. But yeah, we are 2 more tiers, if you're wondering, looking ahead. 2 more tiers of Dimensions End, tier 19 and tier 20. And then we move to Dimensions End Transcendence. So Entropy will be done at 20. And so, yeah, you might need to unlock a couple characters, but we are getting more characters. And if you want to look ahead, there are some places you can do that. None that come to mind right now, but good luck. Good luck. Hopefully you're not struggling with Dimensions End, but if you're a newer player and you have not approached Dimensions End, please consider jumping on our Discord. We have a group of people. Go to OO Tracker. You can put in your entire roster in OO Tracker. Great resource. Go support OO Tracker. But especially if you're a new player, put your roster in OO Tracker. Come to our Discord in the Help Event Strategy section. There are people that love to puzzle solve with Dimensions End. It's some of the funnest gameplay we have in terms of figuring out who I can fit here and there. And so, yeah, there's a good community on our Discord that really enjoys doing that. So if you are newer and have not approached Dimensions End Entropy or Pathos or the other one, come on and hang out. We'll figure it out together. That's how we do it. Oh, we got some questions.
We have questions.
I like questions.
Let me find the questions folder, though, because I was not looking at it. This is a more hypothetical question. I might save it for the post-show, so we'll skip that one. This is another hypothetical question, but we can answer this one quickly. Meow asks, if Square Enix offered alternative Burst music soundtracks for purchase, would that be a good idea? How much would one reasonably pay for such a feature? Burst music is so infrequently heard. You only hear it once per battle. You only hear it for as long as the burst action is being done. It's such a short period of time. I wouldn't probably pay for just a burst music track myself personally, because you'd have to use a specific character. You'd only be hearing it for the burst effect or for the burst action. So it would have to be pretty cheap for me to consider it myself.
Yeah, you can set the music. There's options to set the music so it plays. The burst music plays after the burst effect is done.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's in the
music settings.
That's in settings. Let me see here. Yeah, I
didn't realize you could keep the burst music.
Yeah,
playing.
let me put it on. Let me put it on screen here. So if you get the second, so here's settings first page. There's 2 pages of settings. Settings second page. There's continuous burst mode on, continuous summoning background music on. So
okay, I knew about the continuous summoning. I didn't realize they put continuous burst in afterwards.
Yeah, so
after burst was introduced.
this is that's the right here. The continuous burst music on. So if you put that on, like I have it on, and that's also where you have the HP display. So so you can turn that on, and the burst music stays. And that way, if you didn't know, so if you keep the burst music on, with that setting, you also get special victory music based on whichever character you're using.
Gotcha.
So you get unique unique victory music. So, but the villains don't get. The villains just get the main music. So Sephiroth just gets the 7 music, just like Cloud gets it. Arden and Noctis both get the villain music, or both get the victory music from Final Fantasy 15. You get what I'm saying? But, but yeah, I like it. I mean, I rarely play with the game on, but I do love the burst music's really cool. So,
gotcha.
That
makes it a little bit more appealing.
How much would you pay Arrow for for unique burst music?
Probably wouldn't pay, because if you really want to hear the songs that bad, I got YouTube, or Spotify, etc. However, I understand. Maybe let's say there was a song I just had to have. Let's say I did want to buy it. I probably wouldn't want to pay a lot for it. What do weapon skins cost on JP? Because I feel like they should cost half that amount, whatever that is. I think it's like 14-ish USD over there, so about 5 to 7. Yeah, that'd probably be about all I'd want to pay.
I usually play with the sound muted most of the time, so it would have to be really cheap for me to consider it.
Right. Yeah, I might pay for like a theater, like if you can unlock like a jukebox or something, that'd be okay. But whatever. Good question though. Interesting. Next question.
Okay. Anaheim asks, since bosses get brave damage reduction at high difficulties, is it better for him or her or them to invest in damage dealers who have effects that increase attack or directly increase damage dealt? So this is more mechanics based question, either through buffs, auras, or spheres. So the way things work, and Arrow and Mark can chime in to help fill this out, is that all these things are multiplicative with one another. What you want to do is that for base stats, you want to increase your base attack as much as possible, because damage multipliers will multiply damage dealt through attack further based on your base attack. So the higher your base attack rating going into a fight, the more damage you will deal, period. And what I mean by that is all characters have passive stat gains, which will increase their attack while buffed through passive stat gains, through summon board passives, through party auras, and through all that stuff. There's attack damage multipliers based on abilities used. So the higher your attack, the better. Damage multipliers, brave damage multipliers will further multiply that. So obviously, if you can't get attack, you'll want to get brave damage multipliers as your second choice. And the way it works is that typically you want to get both if possible. I think there's a tipping point where after a certain amount of attack, it falls off. And someone who's actually been sitting down and working on the math as we've hit certain points will probably know better than me. It used to be back in the 60 and 70 era, you always wanted attack. And I think that's still true for artifacts in general, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, for most of the damage dealing units, you want base attack first for your artifacts and your spheres, then brave damage up, then additional attack, then max brave. Yeah, so so the spheres, we have a couple good spheres right now in the sphere shops. So brave damage up spheres, attack up spheres. Zaz's sphere is a great D sphere. I probably get a few of those. So Raging sphere is a physical attack up. So that's the other component, right? So you have attack up, brave damage up, or additional brave damage like Cloud Sphere, and then you have physical attack or magic attack up, or ranged attack up, depending on what type of attack. So that's in addition to that as well. So I think base attack is still the best beyond that. So base attack would be more than like physical attack. But yeah, all three find. Let me show you just an example here. trying to maximize my Sephiroth with actual good spheres as opposed to fake spheres here. So I obviously didn't maximize my Pinello. That's embarrassing. So Sephiroth sphere, which I'm not really sure it's a pretty good sphere for him. Raises own max and attack if HP is at 50% at the last wave. That is also his C50 ability. So obviously for artifacts, now there are some people that argue with it, but pretty much for his artifacts, attack 108 C50, those are the best in show there, best in slot. I put Ragens on him, which gives physical attack when inflicting break or attacking a target afflicted with break. Anytime you have that or anytime you have critical hit, every time you attack somebody with brave damage, with a brave hit who is broken, that's a critical hit. So all of the critical hit spheres is good. So that's attack damage, brave damage, and that's attack damage, physical damage, and now Gau's sphere is brave damage. Increases brave damage dealt by 10% while HP is max. So you can see kind of went with all three of them on Sephiroth. He's a physical damage dealer, so physical damage up as opposed to magic or range damage up. So it's nice to have kind of a mixture of all of them, but if you can focus on attack and even refined spheres that do attack, it shouldn't matter. The only reason I triple sphered Sephiroth is because he blows. He sucks. And he needs all the help he gets. So he needs all the help he can get. Arrow, any thoughts on that?
I don't really sphere, and I have a couple of spheres put on characters here and there. But at the end of the day, I don't really do it. I don't worry about it. It hasn't affected gameplay for me in any way. I think spheres are meant more as a for fun thing to just maybe give your character just a little bit more oomph. But for the most part, I'm gonna say 99% of the time, you don't need it. Just put on what you think is kind of good for them, and you're probably okay. So most characters are probably going to want attack. But you got a couple who, they don't use A spheres, for example, and they're more debuff heavy. Just make sure that when you read the sphere that it's for like a type that they use. What was it, Mark? You put like that one sphere on X Death or something.
Wow. You put one wrong sphere on one character and you live with it for the rest of your life.
You do. Yep. But it's okay. What I'm saying is, as long as you don't do that, your character will, you at least aren't wasting them, I guess.
As long as you're not stupid like Mark, it will be fine.
I wasn't calling you stupid. No. I don't know.
But generally speaking, right, if you have, for your damage dealers, if you have at least 3 attack 108s for your arts, which is fairly easy these days to get at least 3 attack 108s. It's actually not too hard to get maybe even one best in slot, or some decent ones, and then a couple refined spheres that give attack up. You're going to be okay. Yeah, you're mostly, again, if you're not using somebody who's has one arm tied behind his back like Sephiroth because he didn't get a rework, which I'm not bitter about. Then you're fine. Obviously, Lightning doesn't need any of it, but if you give that crap to Lightning, she's even better. So, hooray! Here she is.
I would only worry about really sphering your favorites at the end of the day, and the refined sphere. Yeah. You can just throw on, as long as they kind of work, you're probably going to be fine. It's just giving your character a little bit more, but it's not that little bit more that's going to make or break a run usually.
No, yeah, I tend to use actual spheres on my favorite. Mino, did you not watch my very powerful video on YouTube? Go watch it right now, and you can see how much I spent on Sephiroth. Oh, you'll like this bull video. It's very moving. But yeah, I mean, that's what I do and generally do. So, I mean, if you look at my, if we get to gameplay here, if you look at my, my roster here, you'll see my favorite character, Squall, one of my favorite characters. He's got spheres on him. Characters like, where's my other characters? Renoa, she's got 3 actual spheres on her. Kistis, she's got 3 actual spheres. I guess she has 1 refined sphere on her. But yeah, generally speaking, Vivi, because he's crazy, he's got some spheres on her. But yeah, those refined spheres really are really good. So they're cheap enough that we get enough resources that you can use the refine. Yes, Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite. My favorite Final Fantasy. Yeah. So, there you go. Squall's back here somewhere. Oh, good. Next question.
Aodin asks, are there any upcoming BT characters that if you were to draw a non-dupe copy of their BTs while chasing another character, where would you consider selling the BT for tokens instead of keeping it? Considering that all burst characters, I'm planning to try to go for their LDs as well, for the 2-week synergies. Most likely, I would hold on to the bursts. If it's not a dupe, just for completion's sake, or for collection's sake, and for potential usefulness. I don't see myself selling any non-dupe BTs in the future, especially because I'm not even capped on burst tokens or anywhere close to capped. Personally, Arrow.
I'd hoard it. I joked that yes, I did pull that lightning burst while going for Reno, but I still hoarded it. So there you go. Hoard all the things. You never know when they'll do a reprint, for example, of maybe an LD you're missing, and that'd be a good time to collect it if you have the resources, of course.
Yeah. So burst, I mean, everybody, we got to check our privilege here. Burst weapons are very rare. The ticket rate on a burst weapon is 1 in 1,000. Now, I've spent how many tickets in LDBT era? Since the beginning of LD weapons, I have spent, someone do the math, 26, 65, and 400. So I've spent over 3,000 tickets. So I've spent 3,000 tickets, and I've gotten 4 bursts. So if I spend another 1,000 tickets without getting one, I'll be kind of statistically where I was. Right before I got Sephiroth, I was about 1 in 1,000. If you have 14 bursts or 20 bursts, you're obviously living in a different world than the majority of people are living, or you're just spending resources a lot. So they are rare, and so yeah, don't sell them unless you have duplicates. Now, if you have dupes, even if you have a duplicate, don't sell them. I see people in their shop. Just to go back to gameplay here for a second to show you what I mean. So I've done every challenge quest. Now it's going to load, right? I've done every challenge. Oh, someone's invited me to co-op. Isn't that nice? I'm doing a podcast, but I'll get back to you later. I've done every challenge quest. So right now we are at 30 challenge quests. We have done 30 challenge quests to this point. So your BT token shop should be 30 out of 50. You shouldn't be selling your extra bursts until you need them. Now, if you needed to burst token Lightning's LD, fine. Everybody got a free premium Moogle pass that got you 2 Moogle tokens. You could exchange those for 10. People immediately did that. There's no reason to immediately do that. Look at 10 out of 10 burst tokens, Moogle tokens. They're not going anywhere. If I get the premium Moogle pass next month, they'll go into my inbox for 90 days. My dupe bursts, which I do have because I have been fairly lucky, and I've also spent a ton of resources, I haven't sold. They're right there. There's my dupe bursts. There's no reason to sell them, because if you sell them and you fill up that burst token slot, you're going to be forced to use your burst tokens maybe on a burst you don't need. So don't. Just don't. Maybe you already have, fine. From this point on, stop. Don't do it until you absolutely need to use them, either because they're going to expire in your inbox or because you're going to use them on a burst. So definitely don't sell, don't sell a burst weapon for a character that's a character you don't have an extra for. That's the worst possible advice anyone could ever give you. oh yeah, just sell Sephiroth's burst weapon because you need, 5 extra burst tokens for lightnings. Don't do that because Sephiroth comes back and he's pretty good and his burst weapon's really cool. So that's the nice thing about this game. Characters keep coming back. If it was like a lot of other gacha games and everything was just 2 weeks and then done, yeah, fine. Just sell your burst and get the new burst. But don't do that, people. Please. You just and if you do, don't tell me about it because it will cause me stress. And I think we've already talked about that enough on this show. I don't want anybody to be stressed, including myself. So please use your burst tokens wisely. And if you need advice, come into our Discord. We'd be happy to powwow. Oh, man, I can't use that. I apologize. We'd be happy to conference with you. Talk about that. I apologize to my native and indigenous people. That's somewhat of an offensive phrase for me to use. Gotta get that off from my vernacular. All right. Is that it?
We got one more
Great, one more question
from some call me Brian.
Yes, Brian.
After playing DFFOO or any other FF-related gacha, are there any characters you didn't know before or any character you don't like, but after playing these, you begin to appreciate them for who they are? Let me think for a sec. Mark, do you have any off the top of your head?
Yeah, anybody from Type 0. I appreciate more than I did because I didn't know any of them from the game. So they all get a pass. I like Vaughn and Hope in this game more than I do in their actual games. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, there's characters that you're like, oh yeah, I kind of like using them a little bit more than I like them in their main game, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, I know. This isn't just because of DFFOO, it's also because of World of Final Fantasy, but Charlotta. I've come to appreciate Charlotta a bit more. Because I never played her original game.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, of course. Well, I mean, Lael and Metatilian and Kais, they age-old favorites of mine, so I love them from the beginning. And Karen, of course.
Arrow?
Yeah, there's been a couple. I liked Yuri so much in this game when he debuted, and I liked how cute he was. He really made me think of how a kind of responsible, mature kid kind of acts for his age. I actually went out and bought his game. I enjoyed it. It's actually a really decent story, and I like Chalinka and Yuri's brotherly, sisterly twin bond. It's very enjoyable. So they say that, and I also really, really like Rem in this game. So much so it made me buy Type 0, which I'm still working on. So there you go. And Vanilla, why not? I'll mention her. I hadn't played FF12 when I first was introduced to Pinello in this game, and I thought she was absolutely adorable and cute, and made me want to play FF12. So thank you to those 3 characters. And again, I would recommend Yuri's game. It's a fun one. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Ring of Fates, yes. Crystal Chronicles Ring of Fates, very fun DS title. Very cheap to get, too, so if you get it secondhand.
Zyros asks, since you have your burst tokens, if you counted, I have 95 available, and GL Foresight, is there targeted bursts you are planning on using the tokens for and not pulling on their banner? No, I'm actually planning on pulling on the banners, but I am targeting using my burst tokens on Cloud, Paladin Cecil, and well, I mean, those are the next 2. Definitely Tidus when we get Tidus. But I am pulling on the banners though. So for Cloud, I can tell you I'm probably, given my ticket situation, I'm going to continue with tickets, and I'm going to pull on Cloud, and I'm going to pull on Beatrix. I don't have any interest in Zonde, but especially now that we have Vivi, but for dark damage. But so I'm going to pull on Cloud's banner. I'm going to pull on Beatrix's banner, 2 of my favorite characters. And if I don't get Cloud's burst, I will probably token it. And then probably same for Paladin Cecil. Paladin Cecil is, well, he's not that far in the future. Paladin Cecil comes back with Camlinot. Already have Kais LD. Kais LD's nice. So and Gabranth. I kind of like Gabranth too. So I'd probably pull on all three of those depending on where I am with resources to try to get his. And if I don't, then token it. So that's really what I'm planning to use burst tokens for favorite characters who, I'm going to pull on their banners, but if I do not get their bursts, because bursts are hard to get, I will be able to use burst tokens instead of pitying the bursts. The very last thing I will do is sell my extra bursts. I'll use my challenge quest tokens, and then I'll use my Moogle tokens. The very last thing I would do is sell the extra bursts, because they're just in the inventory, so I can hold on to those for pretty much whenever. So, if I'm really doing good on resources, by the time I get to Zonde's banner, I'll probably pull with tickets, and then maybe I'll get Cloud's Burst, but we'll see. Cloud's Burst is really cool looking. And he's a favorite character of mine. Paladin Cecil's one of my favorite characters, so that's really the only reason I want those bursts. Tidus is not one of my favorite characters, but Yuna is, and Yuna is in Tidus's burst, so I will have to pull for that. Either of you have any burst token plans? Any bursts you're kind of have your heart set on? Arrow, I know you have a burst in mind in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I plan to potentially pity that one. So if I don't have to do that,
yeah,
or if I decide I don't want to do that, yeah, I would probably go for Furion with my burst tokens. I am getting close to where, yes, I could potentially trade for a burst. The other option, if I do not use my tokens for Furion, I'm heavily considering Onion Knight or Ramza instead. I would like either, but I'm only going to pick one, and I can probably live without the other. But I haven't decided who I want more from the two of them yet.
Kreese, any thoughts about burst tokens?
I have not decided yet on which character I want to spend burst tokens on. I've accrued a decent number of extra burst weapons. I think I have 3 duplicate burst weapons at this point. So I'm getting to the point where I have almost 50 burst tokens. So I could pity a burst weapon. Or I'm almost at the point where I can pity a burst weapon now. I'm not at the point where I need to pity a burst weapon. So I have some flexibility in choosing when I get to that point. So, but there's nothing coming down the pipeline where I'm like, I need this burst.
Yeah.
So I haven't really decided yet.
Yeah.
I haven't settled quite. I'm kind of torn. So I thought about it, but I haven't decided.
We will let you all know if and when we do use our burst tokens, what they were for, and how we feel about it afterwards. So that's for sure. Let us know in the comments what you've used your burst tokens for. I know a lot of people use their burst tokens for Lightning BT. Good investment, that's for sure. Nothing wrong with that. So, hey, this has been episode 132. Just another reminder. If you sub to us before Christmas, you will be at sub on Twitch, either Twitch Prime or Tier 1 sub. You will be in the running for one of these beautiful play art figurines that are out of focus. There they are. So, yes, feel free. There's Zidane and Tidus, Cloud, and Squall. These are from Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia Trading Arts. And there are mannequin versions of each of the characters and Lightning. Those are the 5 in Series 1. So I will check the subs on Christmas or right before Christmas. And if you are in the subs, you will be, even if you have a gifted sub, I will get that list and contact you. And you will be in the running. So if you're listening to the podcast, you want to jump over, give us your Amazon Prime members get a free Twitch sub because Amazon owns Twitch, and Tier 1 subs are fairly inexpensive. So This has been episode 132. We are going to be off for the next 2 weeks. Happy Christmas Eve, if that's something you celebrate. Happy New Year's, if that's something you celebrate. I don't know that you have a choice. I think everybody's going to be happily celebrating the end of 2020. But we will be off. Christmas Eve is Thursday and New Year's Eve is Thursday. So we will see you in a few weeks. We may do a little special video here and there. Check our YouTube channel. Some of them I may shoot up on the podcast so you can watch on the podcast. We'll be on Discord. Hang out with us during the time. If you're having problems with Karen's LC, we'll be there to help you through. And when we get back in the new year, we've got Cloud's LDBT and Furion's LDBT with Beatrix Zonde, X-Death, and Dark Knight Cecil O, and a global LD first coming in February, likely. So we may not have a Squex mobile stream next week. If we don't, we will have some in-game announcements, and so we'll let you know what we think about that. I'll give you my rundown of the month. But for all of us here at the Crystal Chronicles, a very special thank you. Thank you to Arrow. Thank you to Crease for this year. It's been great. We've done a lot of good things. Mino's with us. All of our friends. I link all of our fellow content creators. Let me just give a moment of privilege to shoot out all of those wonderful people in our community. Again, always shout out to our co-founder, Pierre, who started this podcast with me 132 episodes ago. He has an ice rink in his backyard. Him and the kids, he's Canadian, so they love hockey. But special shout out to Black Cloud, our friend Black Nero on YouTube, Inkwelder from the Tonberry Troupe, J.A, Jin Lee on YouTube, Macnol, DissidiaInfo.com, Mino Spellgood, Quetzalma of Materiobot, Strafe on YouTube. Those are our moderation team and our kind of inner circle here at the TCC podcast. Without those people, the podcast doesn't happen. Shoots, Ryan is the Bomb 203, does all of our intro music. Dreamy from the Tonberry Troupe did our intro video. HaateXIII, who's live with us, does our intro narration. Jin Lee did our podcast backgrounds, logos, and emotes. Definitely shout out to Teleute and also Vaynovas from the Tonberry Troupe, TonberryTroupe.com. Special shout out to Res Foina. Our good friend, you can check out Res Foina on Twitch and YouTube. Our good friend Necklord, who's always posting great memes on Reddit and Facebook. 40 the Broadway Sane, who was here early, check out him. Our friend Lids87, Chris5258, Zeno TXB Gaming, Machileno Games, Josepher, Shara, who helps out with, and Quetz, who helps out with the official Reddit and Discord, OO Tracker, DissidiaDB, that's our good friend Rem, and most of all, thank you, all of you, everybody over 100, 200, 300, 400 sometimes, hanging out with us on Thursday night, the hundreds of you who download the video on demand, who watch us on YouTube, who listen to the podcast. It's just great being part of this community and having something like we can just hang out and talk DFO every single week for over 130 weeks now, almost 3 years, as we're going to celebrate the 3rd year anniversary of this game. Hopefully we will continue through 2021 unabated by pandemics or anything else, but we wish the best of you to all. Thank you. Hang around for the post show, but this has been episode 132 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded December 17th, 2017, and the last podcast of 2020. So we'll see you in 2021, friends. This has been the Crystal Chronicles. Goodbye.